Good morning. Gonna try this again. Uh, I'm working off the premise that there's 143 days left in the year. So I set some goals for 2020. So this is the countdown to zero, 143. Uh, just want to share a couple things with you. I've tried to make this video several times over the past week. I am using my iPad at the moment because I found that the AirPods don't work with the video function in the iPhone. The the microphone doesn't work. So to get clearer audio, I decided to use YouTube because with YouTube, when I use the make a video, the iPods work. Now, I prove me wrong if you want. I've set my phone down and walked out of the room. If you're close, you can kind of hear good, but if the wind's blowing. Anyway, so I use YouTube to make the videos so I can use the AirPods. And what happens when I'm using my phone, if the phone rings, it cuts the video off. So the other day when I was making the video, I kept getting phone calls and it kept cutting it off. So my first thought was make the videos earlier in the morning, which that was my original intention. Then I said, well, let's just eliminate that and use the iPad. So that's that. Just putting it out there that this is something I've been wanting to do continuously. There are some things that hold me back. I'm going to try my best to finish out 143 days of this. The topic today, I usually have a topic. I've got so many things that go through my head. Uh, and sometimes I write them down, then I forget where I write it down. I don't know. I don't like putting labels on stuff, but ADHD, I don't like to call things a disorder or dysfunction. It's just that's who you are, and you have to learn to deal with it. I know all through high school, I had a hard time staying focused on one thing. And to this day, it's still the same way. I seem to be more productive when I've got a couple of projects going at the same time that don't require 100% attention. So yeah, with stuff like that, you learn to work with it, and then you try to work to change it, and you find a balance. I don't think you can eliminate it completely, but I mean, I'm sure some people can with issues with whatever deals they have. But I know me, so I know how to work around it, and then I've tried to change it a little bit so it's not as bad. So I find a balance. Now, as far as my videos, the topic today, kind of the theme is yin yang. I made a list before. My one of my goals is to write a book, but if you can imagine writing a book, keeping things in sequence, that's hard for me. So when it comes, it'll come. I've been inspired. I often refer to yin yang, right? The positive, the negative, the one side, the other side. Uh, and I had a little realization when I was in Alabama visiting my nephew about looking inside yourself and looking inside yourself and outside yourself for answers and for inspiration or whatever it may be. So I want to share that with you. One of the things that holds me back from making videos and sharing my thoughts is, I would say, at the core, again, a label, empath. Uh, I've come to a new definition for that. And again, that's one of those things that I've had to learn to deal with. Um, Everybody does it different. That's what you have to understand. That's what you have to understand about me and my intention. My intentions are always pure and good. And if you think anything other than that, then you don't really know me. And I don't expect everybody to know me on a personal level. So whatever you get out of it, you get out of it. Whatever you think of me, whatever you see of me, that's your perception. I can't change that. So uh, I have to be true to myself. I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to say, who it's going to affect, how it's going to affect them, and I have to stop doing that. I guess being an empath, you feel other people's pain, right? What good does that do me? The analogy I came up with for myself the other day was, when I was younger, and sometimes you hear, when you're eating, when you're little, eat all your food. There's starving children in Africa. So as I got older, I realized that me eating all my food makes me fatter. It doesn't help anybody in Ethiopia. Me feeling sad for someone else does not make them feel any better. So for me, what's the best way for me to be a positive influence? Which there's an art to being selfish. There's a whole yeah. That's why I need to do these every day and try to make them in a sequence. But this goes so deep. This covers so many different things. Uh, there's an art to being selfish. So first, just like the saying in the airplane, when the oxygen mask comes down, put it on you first. You have to take care of you first. This is for me first. This is for my mental health, physical health, is to deal with life the way I know how. Part of the reason that I think I'm here is to help others. And the best way I can do that is by example. And my example might not apply to everyone. What works for me may not work for someone else. Someone else may be here on this earth for a different purpose, which that's a whole nother level. So, is if someone's sad or upset, is my best example to be sad and upset for them? Can I take that away from them? Can I touch them and pull that sadness away from them? Maybe momentarily, but whatever the root cause is going to stay there. So the best thing for me to do is to, if they're ready, share how I get over stuff and move on from being depressed or having anxiety, which I've dealt with all of it personally. Uh, some people want to listen, some people don't. Some people want change, some people don't. They'll go back and forth. And that's fine. That's part of life. That's part of the process. But for me, I had to stop that. I always wanted to help. I was always looking for someone to help. And guess what? I always found it. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't my journey, is to go physically help. It comes up every now and then where I get to help people. And that's great. That I love that. But on a bigger scale, all I can do is share with you what I've gone through. And I'm still going through it. So take it for what you will. If you think I'm talking about somebody else and you want to share it to them, so be it. Whatever it happens, once it leaves here, what's that saying go? If there's 1,000 people, you have a thousand. Sometimes it loses me. Perceptions of you. Everybody sees you in a different way, depending on how well they know you or what they're going through. There's projecting. That's another topic that projecting, because sometimes we project and sometimes we're just the observer. So because it can't work both ways at the same time. And that's just something that we have to come to. If you want to, come to a realization for yourself. So that's part of my process, my growing process, is to There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you say. I mean, look at the world. Look at the polarization in the world today. That the whole world, the pandemic. Listen to the scientists. One scientist says one thing, another scientist says another thing. Listen to the doctors. One doctor says one thing, another doctor says another thing. Politicians. One side says one thing, the other side says another thing. There's always going to be, as long as there's two people on the earth, there will be two points of view. We're not here. I read a quote many years ago. I don't know. I don't know the keys to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone. So I guess it's a little narcissistic and egotistical when you try to manipulate things, when you try to hide things from people so they don't have a certain view of you, or when you try to guard their feelings by not sharing or saying things. You just have to put it out there, and either it's meant to be or it's not meant to be. They're meant to hear it or they're not meant to hear it. Some people will be upset, some people don't. If you try to uh, manipulate it backfires. You just have to put it out there. And if someone is open minded and they're going to hear what you have to say. So, which leads me to looking inside yourself for answers versus looking outside yourself. And I often refer that to, because over the weekend, a couple of weeks ago with my nephew, we had some great, deep discussions. Learned a lot. He shared a lot with me about his personal life. Uh, and alcohol, drugs, addictions, a lot of that came up. Uh, People that do things, and I often find myself saying that people look outside of themselves for answers. They look for edification from other people. They look for whatever the situation may be, and in the spiritual teachings and the gurus, they everything's right up here, right inside. Which I believe that we have the control here, but it's we have the ability, and that's my foundation. That's the rule I live by, and I'm responsible for everything. Good, bad, or indifferent, whatever happens, I look here first. That's just me. Not everybody does that. But then I realized that we don't know what we don't know. I look outside myself. I watch videos. I listen to Abraham Hicks, Sadhguru, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins. I read books. I look outside myself for information. I Google stuff all the time to learn. So I'm like, okay, that's a little hypocritical, right? And it's everything always goes right back to my yin yang, finding a balance, and there's a place and a time. It goes from big to small to big to small, because there's always a time and a place for everything. There's a time to be selfish. There's a time to be empathetic. There's a time to be vulnerable. There's a time to be strong. And that's just part of life. And you just have to look at it as a journey. So, what's my point? I don't know. These days, I try to make it a point not to make a point. It's just for your information. It's just sharing my thoughts. I've Yesterday was interesting. I had the finger pointed at me, and uh, it made me realize that I'm not the same person I used to be. I had some feelings arise, and some things I typed out and had to delete because I don't do and say those things anymore. And apparently, some of the things that I said were taken the wrong way, which my intentions, I can only say that my intentions are always pure, and either you believe me or you don't. And I personally, if I know someone's intentions aren't good, then those I don't associate with those type of people. Why would you? Uh, One of my goals is to be happy and to surround myself around happy people. I I still do it. I used to be quick to judge in the past with things that happened, with things that I heard that someone else said. So, I don't, I've learned not to let that affect my feelings at the moment. All I can do is deal with what's happening right in front of me and who I'm dealing with. And if I'm not sure of what your intentions are, I'll ask. Um, but just know Ron's choice is always to be kind and have pure intentions. I have a lot of goals. I'm not going to share them right now. Uh, that's another topic. Sharing your goals versus the silent hustle. Anyway, that's one day. So yeah, I know most people look, and a lot of times when we look outside of ourselves, uh, what we're doing is we're looking for confirmation. We're looking for confirmation whenever we believe. And if you look hard enough, you'll you'll find it. If you believe there are aliens, you'll find proof. If you believe that there are no aliens, if you look hard enough, you'll find there's proof of that as well to convince yourself. Uh, so, and I take this all the way down to illnesses. If you think you have a problem, that's why they always say get a second opinion because one doctor will tell you one thing and another doctor will tell you another thing. And the information is good, right? I've found for myself that I've healed most of my issues with my body when it happens. So, but it helps the mind to know how something works. I'm not that strong where I can just do it, uh, but I know it's possible. So, when you know how the body functions, because the reality is we do have the body and, we're here in reality. So there are certain, we have gravity. So there's certain laws of the universe and laws of life and laws of earth that we live by. And uh, so, yeah, you use the mind to the best of your ability. Because I've seen it. I know people that have healed themselves from physical problems. I know people that have manifested uh, things and people into their lives. So I know it's possible. I've been playing small. I've looked outside of myself. I've been looking for a partner in business and in a relationship and health. Uh, I think everything. I mean, you look around. It's things are better together, right? When you do things together. There's a saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And, as I've studied these books over the years of successful people, when it comes down to it, they've all had a mentor and someone that's usually pretty well known. So I'm like, is that what it takes? This is a whole nother story, but also most of the books and people that were successful were homeless and abused, and I'm like, damn, do I have to be homeless and abused to be successful? No, that's their story, and stories sell. uh, so anyway, the point about that is I think part of my journey is I have to figure out how to ultimately you have to be your own guru. All right, this is going 20 minutes. Tony Robbins has a documentary on Netflix. This is I'm Not Your Guru, and that's basically what the whole thing is about. Is a good psychologist or a good coach, a good life coach, their job is to lose the job, because ultimately you need to be in control of yourself personally. You don't need someone else to push you and motivate you. Now, you might need that in the beginning, but ultimately you have to get there. And I go through spurts, obviously, with the videos, with the weight loss, with everything else. But I think once there are things that I've done that once I got them into motion and they became habit. I say 21 days to make a habit, 30 days, 60 days to change an old habit, whatever. It's all different for some people. Some people have got go up and down with weight loss, eating right, or dieting, or relationships, or whatever. We tend to go back to uh, the problems that we had before. So, uh, is there, like I said, is there a point to this? No. Look inside yourself. That's the ultimate. That's what I'm doing. Ultimately, I'm trying to do it here, but it's okay to use tools uh, to get your information from other people. To use uh, I don't know, beads, things that help remind you, tattoos. I'm I'm guilty of it too, and this helps me remind me to when I get off track. That's my anchor. Say, wait a minute, you have control. There's another side to this, and that's my foundation, and then that helps me grow as a person. So I'm ready to take this to the next level. I'm just sharing my journey with you. There is no right or wrong. That's the next. That's another topic. Right versus wrong. All right. Uh, Enough for today. I truly love you. I truly love everyone. My intentions are always pure. I'm not crazy. And I want to. Yesterday, I realized labels. I don't like labels, but I mean that's what we have to. That's just part of life. How we describe things and communicate. Religion. I'm not religious. I have nothing against religion. I think there's a broad definition. Everything is relative to how you define the words. Spiritual. I say I'm spiritual. I don't. If if I was to take just the general definition of that word and how I think most people look at it, spiritual. The people that are really spiritual, I don't fit into that category. I'm in the middle somewhere, I guess. So I don't know what to call that. Uh, because people do have perceptions. If you say you're a Christian, they think of you and they see you in a certain way. And everybody sees it different. If you say I'm religious, or if I'm Buddhist, or if I'm spiritual. Uh, so I guess I'm other. I don't really. Uh, I've thought about that before. How to how to put that. But yeah, I'm other. I'm just me trying to be happy and figure out why my purpose. Love you guys.